Hi, I'm Paul Ford.
And I'm Rich Ciotti.
And you are listening to a podcast about how AI is changing the entire universe of software. It is called Reqless.
Reqless.
All right, so love our theme song. Rich, you and I are not just the co-hosts. We're also the co-sponsors and the co-founders of the sponsor,
Coco.
Aboard.com. What do you get at Aboard.com?
We are an AI-powered software platform that can solve really specific problems because we skip so many steps because of AI. We use AI to build a lot of the software, a lot of the scaffolding, and then you're off to the races. You still need humans, thank God. Maybe we should talk about needing humans, Paul.
That sounds disturbingly intimate for a
Software podcast.
No, I think we should. And I think what we should talk about, I want to just sort of throw this out. Like, the big question when you are a software person is almost always, there's two. I mean, what are the things that motivate the market in the world? Like greed and fear, right?
Yes.
Everybody knows greed and fear. Everybody has a little greed and fear going when it comes to a new technology like AI and
disruptive technology.
Yeah, and let's not, like, greed is a very loaded word, but like people are like, should I be in on this? Should this be part of my life?
Yeah.
Or should I be running for the hills and figuring out the next thing to do?
Should I grow my own food?
Yeah. Is it time? Is it time for me to learn how to harvest tomatoes?
Yes.
And so I thought we could today just do some rapid hits. Just bam, here we go. Get some content out the door and talk about 5 industries.
Okay.
And whether they should be afraid or not, or where they should be adapting.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. So, number 1, musicians.
No.
So here's what's real. There are all these AI tools out there that will write you a song. They will write you a song, and it'll sound like another song, and it'll have vocals, and it'll sound kind of like a song you might hear on the radio.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't. If I'm a musician, I think you have other things to worry about, like Spotify.
Yeah.
Like cutting a check that you can actually pay the bills with. No, I think musicians don't have to worry in terms of AI taking their jobs. Let me correct that. If you are a musician, you make a living like producing music for hotel lobbies.
Yes, I think that's right.
I think you might want to do something else.
Well,
because
you know where
it's generic, it's undifferentiated, your name's not on it, you're not actually building a fan base, you're just producing stuff.
There's a band you love. It is called Low, and it is the project of a person named Alan Sparhawk.
Love Low.
Low's really good.
One of my favorite bands in the world.
We've been to multiple Low shows together.
You're a good friend, Paul.
I'm like this sort of slightly grumpy girlfriend when we go to this. I like Low, but after about 7 minutes, I'm like, yes. I've heard this song, but we're nowhere near done.
But a beautiful band.
And the albums are amazing, actually. I truly do. I like and respect this band. Low cannot be replaced by AI.
No. And I think it gets to, and I'm going to be corny for a split second here, Low is a product of someone's experiences and emotions and their perspective on the world and coping. Low is an intense band, Low, but Low, like, for example.
But so Low is musically very well respected. It's a kind of a great
kind of a musician's musician, actually.
It's real, and it's like a kind of slow, dirgy sound, etc. Even if AI could do that, your relationship with this band goes back a while, and you seek the connection. It's not like you send fan letters to Alan Sparhawk.
No, I've met him, which was fun.
Like way back in the day, right?
Yeah, it was like me and 12 people in a knitting factory in New York City, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right, but you love when this guy does something, it actually fits into the narrative of your life. You're like, oh, I got to check that album out. He's going on tour.
I'm waiting for him to put music out.
He lost his wife, who was his major collaborator, and I mean, I saw that news. I've been following this band for years, partly through you. I'd heard about them otherwise.
Pretty upset about it.
It was a real moment. Like, we didn't have a relationship with them, but it makes you contemplate your own people in your life. That is the relationship that people have with art, whether we should or shouldn't, whether that's the right relationship or not. The fact is, even though you don't know him, Alan Sparhawk and his story is an important part of your life.
music is a medium for human connection.
That's right.
You relate to, like, when fans really connect, when they see an artist expressing themselves and projecting the same kind of struggles that you are going through, right? Like you relate to that. You could be a teenager, and a band could really put something together that represents what you're going through, and that is you relating to another person.
So I think there is this huge thing. I think Spotify has commoditized a lot of this, as you said, and so on. There's like a whole world.
There's the economy of being a musician, which sucks.
But the reality is that music is not just buying an artifact or listening to an artifact, but connecting to something bigger.
Connecting to someone else.
A scene, an individual, a story, and
absolutely.
so on. And I think it could be classical, it could be pop, it could be whatever.
That's right.
So I think that part of the world, AI might, help them with some of the production aspects or so on. You know what's going to get nuked? It's not just music, it is ambient music in video games.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they'll sort of be because it's so much. They're just going to say, make a medieval thing for the Dragon's Tavern. That's
stuff that is really filler and this is not to diminish. There's probably people who make good living making soundtracks for video games, but yeah, it's tougher.
Well, I think you're going to end up with a differentiator where, like, the next version of Civilization, they tend to now hire these sort of big name video game musicians.
Yeah.
Like, that will become the differentiator for the AAA game. It's like, oh, you like to connect. You really like this music.
Interesting.
We went ahead and got that guy.
Let me ask you, let me close this with a question. Do you think we will see a day in the future where, as part of the rolling credits of a movie, instead of Hans Zimmer or John Williams, it says Compositron 4.5? And we're like, whoa, that's awesome. They used it for this movie.
I don't see the path. I'm on we're actually in year 50 or 60 of computer generated art.
Yeah.
Longer even.
Yeah.
There's some brilliant
fractals.
Not just that, but there's also brilliant works that were created. The names are escaping me at this moment, but like there's a lot of stuff where people go back and recreate it, and there's a rich history. It actually fits in with pop art, and it fits in with sort of all sorts of abstract expressionism and so on.
And artists did okay.
And it's just like it's not. It's the market. My whole thing with AI people is like, when all that stuff was happening with Midjourney and all these illustrations are showing up, and everybody's like, this is the future. And it kind of they love to show you the pretty girl who looked like an elf, and they all look exactly the same.
It's the same elf.
It's the same elf. And I'm just like, have any of you gone to a museum in the last 5 years? No, but seriously, like, there is a multi-thousand-year history of how humans react to images, and you just don't see it.
No,
like it just seems like
it's contrived. Yeah.
So like I think could we enter? The answer is yes. 10, 15 years from now or sooner, the AI might compose the soundtrack, but it will be along a different set of guidelines.
Yeah,
it'll be like we're not there yet. So I wouldn't worry yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I compose music for commercials or video games or whatever, I might
be a little nervous.
Or like, when you're waiting in line at Disneyland.
Next industry.
Advertising.
Ooh.
Well, there's two aspects of advertising. There's the I made you a cool ad that you're going to watch or read. Mm-hmm. And then there is I found you 20,000 dads who like sneakers here online.
Okay, so data mining to target audiences.
Yeah, sort of the demand side as opposed to...
I think that is much more vulnerable than the first. I think
it's already happening, frankly.
Yeah, good ad buy firms are using technology to target better because they're so performance driven, right? Yeah. They want engagement, and they can come back and say, well, look, man, the click-through was amazing, so this is pricey.
Well, what is AI good at? It's good at saying this is kind of like this.
Yeah, I think that'll get better and better.
Dads who like sneakers are really likely to take a second look at a Toyota.
Yeah.
That is a powerful thing to be able to bring into the room.
The first part, which is kind of related to the first category that you mentioned, I don't think you're going to... Brands can hit it out of the park when they sort of surprise you with their sort of personality.
Yeah.
And I think if you're using AI to like generate a slogan...
I think this is right.
Like it's the same issue.
It's brainstorming. People use it to come up with wireframes, and they'll use it to come up with it. But I think about the Super Bowl, right? Like nobody wants to watch AI generated ads.
No.
during the Super Bowl.
No, they love to see the craft of, around and the creativity that can come from them.
It will be built in, like maybe the dancing lizard skin for the energy drink will be partially generated by a tool that has some AI in it, but like that's gonna be humans. All right, so advertising. If you're on the
buy side,
if that side with all the charts with the arrows. You're going to see AI all over the place.
Yeah.
But you know what? Frankly, they deserve it. They has like a world of just databases anyway. So,
normal progression.
Yeah, chunking up and slicing. Yeah. Ironically, the AI will be used to find humans as opposed to like make things. But okay. Here's one. I'm going to throw this one I think is a big deal. Teachers. So teachers have it two ways. They have students who might be using AI to make things, whether they should or not, whether they're supposed to or not. And then there's the fact that a large, there's a tool that I saw. It was really cute. It's called LLM-history.network. Simplest site in the world. If you go to it, it just says the American Civil War, and there's a button. It says show causes. And it clicks and it gives you causes of the Civil War, like tensions over the issue of slavery in the United States. Then you click the next show causes and it says the Southern states' succession from the Union.
It's like a causation chain.
It will keep going almost infinitely.
That's pretty neat.
And it's pretty good. Like it's a really interesting way to see history, like keep unpacking it. So that's a good teaching learning tool.
Yes.
Right? So here we are in a world where there's all these new ways to see and understand the world. But it can also write your essay for you. Teachers, what do you think?
I mean, you said it. I think learning tool sounds really good. Okay. Like learning tools are good if it can enhance how you learn, if it can engage you. Learning is by default boring for a lot of kids.
Boy, is it patient. And this is real. You can say to it, teach me algebra, but be a funny squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fun.
Which, frankly, Khan Academy never got there.
Never got there. No. And frankly, now let's take it all the way to teachers. Teachers represent something, and to me, they represent early approximation of what authority and hierarchy looks like. It represents, like, on occasion, formative relationships for a young person that like goes beyond the subject matter that they're learning. Teachers are, to me, it's such an integral part of like the path to adulthood, and in terms of human relationships and the dynamics of authority and power and all of that's a like no one's going to look back and say, I wouldn't be here, like at their, like, what do you call the speech they give at like the graduation?
Oh, the valedictorian at the commencement. Yeah,
I would not be here today without Clyde 4.3, who I met in the 6th grade, and they really shaped my like that's not. This is, I'm finding a common theme. We're up to number 3 now. And the common theme is that a lot of our growth and a lot of our progress is through human connection. And I think that is, it's funny how that keeps creeping up. Talking about AI or working from home.
This is, you and I are middle-aged dads. We are now 25-year-olds in Silicon Valley building our startup. And
this is a fact.
This is real. Like, we're in worlds like families open restaurants and people go places, and like it's we're not locked in a room working on one problem. We see life as kind of like a weird web of connections between lots of people and ideas.
Absolutely. I will say one of the strangest things happening right now in New York City. We are based in New York City. Mm-hmm. There's a massive glut, like just way too much commercial real estate because nobody's going to work anymore.
Well, let's be clear. Commercial real estate is one of the true sources of wealth in this $1 trillion of real estate city.
Yes. And at the same time, you cannot get a reservation at any restaurant.
No.
Which tells me that the thirst for connection is still incredibly strong.
Everyone loves being in New York City. Nobody likes going to work.
That's the conclusion here.
I'm going to tell you that. I want to go back to teachers. I think that is real. That's something we're all sort of figuring out as we go forward.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me with teaching is it's a calling, but I do see this very sort of grim future because, like, we got the New York Board of Ed and we've got vouchers and charters and so on and so forth, where the students, where the AI is writing the papers, and then on the teacher side, the AI is grading the papers. The for-profit universities, the like where it's just everyone is just kind of looking the other way as the churn happens. I think that you're going to have like Board of Ed and national regulations, like the accreditation boards, are going to have to weigh in here.
Interesting. Because that's a larger issue.
Yeah, because I just think that like students will game the system eternally, and teachers, we always think of teachers in this sort of like very sacred way. But after about 3 years, they're like, this job kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's another part of it, by the way, which is, I mean, this has nothing to do with AI. Like, teachers are notoriously underpaid. Like, it's just historically been the case.
Their job is often horrible. I mean, New York Board of Ed is interesting because actually it is a regulatory body, and teachers who stick in the system can do really well.
Yeah.
Like they have nice apartments and so on. Like
they can get pensions early.
Yeah. No, so like there are frameworks here, but your typical teacher in America is tired and has to buy pencils for the students because the Board of Ed won't provide it.
Right.
And they're going to receive 70 like final essays around Shakespeare summaries written by ChatGPT. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody just go like, well, let it grade it too then.
Yeah.
Right. And it can write like 3 bullet points about how you did. Like we could it's not far to get to that place. So,
it's not. And that's a little scary.
Yeah, I think that it should be scary for parents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like your kid might just know how to use ChatGPT at high school graduation.
Yeah. I have an overarching thought when we're done with these. Number 4.
Therapist.
Sure. All the therapist does is say, why would you say that?
That is exactly what someone who's never been in therapy thinks about therapy.
I've never been to therapy, which I think is obvious to anyone that listens to this podcast.
I don't know if Lebanese men can go to therapy. I don't know if that's like if that can happen.
We can. It's called the Track.
Yeah.
It's called Belmont Park.
Yeah, it's a bar. It's
a bar.
There are a ton of online therapists. There's that new thing, Friend, where like it talks.
Wait, online AI therapist.
Oh yeah. This is a thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you pay like by the hour?
I can't, not by the hour, but it's like you can have like the AI. It'll coach you. Because in theory it is that way.
Wow.
Well, okay.
You've been to therapy.
Yes.
Do you think it's something that can... I can't chime in on this one.
If you are fully aware that you are interacting with a reactive bot, and it is... Basically, what can you get out of that experience? There are 2 things. The bot could essentially role play as the worst possible version. It could give you it can help you catastrophize and sort of understand how things are wrong. It can be affirmative, and basically what you're saying is, hey, if I treated myself and asked questions of myself in the same way that this therapy bot was, then I would probably be healthier and happier. So I'm going to use this scripted robot's behavior and practice it as a scripted robot myself. And see if I get any better outcomes around my anxiety.
It's like reading a book that's supposed to help you work through things.
That's right. It's like going to a magazine. It's like 12 tips for fixing a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Now you expand that into kind of a conversational medium, and it says, and it can ask you, it's like, how did you do at setting that boundary? And you can say, not so good. Well, what about these 3 things instead? That can be productive for humans who don't have access to other humans. Let's be real. Like therapy, you go get at least a social work master's degree, often psychiatry.
But let me ask you this, and this is from a naive place. Isn't a lot of it talking to someone?
It really depends on the kind, right? So you can have classic talk therapy where they're like, yeah, how did your mother treat you? And those can be along.
But like the articulation of what you're going through is part of the treatment.
Yes, you have to.
So then how could you do that with a chat bot?
Well, it actually kind of would jump you right into so a good therapist talks to you and gets to know you a little bit. And then they basically set up a treatment plan using a psychological or sometimes psychiatric approach. Sometimes it would involve
well
medication.
Documented. There's processes.
If you go get the DSM-4, there are diagnostic criteria for general anxiety disorder or seasonal affective disorder or whatever, right? So they basically diaggnose you, and then they go okay.
Process, and then medicine could be in the mix or not.
Could be medication. They might refer you to a psychiatrist. Sure. Or it could be here are the 12 things that, I read 20 papers about that will help you out.
What I'm hearing is sometimes the machine could work.
Sure, and it could be diagnostic too. It could be here are the 12
asks you a series of questions.
Here are the 12 signs of attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could answer it, and it could say well, you should probably see a psychiatrist because you seem to have a lot of the signs of ADD.
The questionnaire. in the beginning of the process.
There's that. So it's sort of like it is like that. I mean, one of the earliest chatbots was called Eliza, and it simulated a Rogerian psychiatrist who is, would kind of it sounds like I'm very angry. Well, it sounds like you're very angry. Why is that? Well,
very interesting. I mean, I wonder. I mean, I think someone has a great reputation in the West Village of being an awesome therapist. Doesn't have anything to worry about because people tell other people about the great therapist they go to.
Well, there is you can't get a therapist. It's hard.
It's hard to get a therapist. Maybe that's a New York City thing.
No, in general.
Okay.
In general. So the idea that like the bot might at least give you a sense of what is therapy? Therapy is stepping out of yourself, observing your own behavior, and then taking steps to change that behavior. It's hard to do. The bot is outside. It's not a human. But it can allow you to look back at your own behavior. So maybe.
Okay.
So
number 5.
Well, this one we can't. We can only bite off a little tiny bit of this. I think this is a big subject.
I'm kind of hungry, Paul.
Consulting. Management consulting.
Jesus.
Now, I'm going to tell you what management consulting will tell you. They'll say, absolutely not, but I can help you use the AI to fire everybody else. So all you're going to need is management consultants and ChatGPT. Somehow Deloitte, McKinsey, PricewaterhouseCoopers, all the whole team.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so management consulting. Well, what do? There's different kinds. I go in and I help you with the big project, like the software project or the reorg or whatever, and I use my MBA and I use my policies and I sort of like I make you a deck and I say, let's do this, and then you go, let's do it. Okay, so there is a very practical, very tactical, and then there's the other kind, which is just like we need organizational change, and I need to understand what's going more almost like a kind of...
Our growth is slowing down.
Yeah, so that's like a corporate therapy that backs into a strategy, right? But then there's the other, which is like we need to fix our e-commerce system.
Yeah, I think a good way to look at it, I've seen that like the pyramid of like strategy to tactics to like, vision, strategy, blah, blah, blah. Just type that strategy pyramid and you'll get horrible things.
Do it in Google image search, and frankly, that's the
thing
equivalent of an MBA. You can just do
yeah. So here's my take on it. I think closer to the execution side, there are going to be opportunities to accelerate a lot of what consultants do.
Explain that. Okay, that's a very consulting thing to say. Break that down. Like, what's the execution side? The
execution side is like I need to reduce my costs by 10%.
Okay, we are not making as much money this year as last year, so I asked you, Miss Consultant, to come on in and help me figure out how to either make more money or trim costs.
Yeah, I think now the issue is the gathering of information to give back a plan to reduce costs by 10%. AI is not there today. Like I'm not gonna upload recordings of interviews with different stakeholders at the org.
Yeah, but I could summarize them, or I could send out an email and all the responses could be summarized by AI.
Honestly, and it will give you a plan. It'll probably give you at least the contours of a plan.
Sure.
I think where they're the safest consultants is not at the execution side or the more tactical side, but rather at the strategic side. And the reason for that is it's a form of therapy. Good strategic thinkers are creative thinkers, strangely.
Mm-hmm.
And they are creative thinkers that understand and empathize with the context in which a problem is being put in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very dialogue-driven. It's very relationship-driven. Good strategic consultants are good relationship people. And then they sort of go away and synthesize a lot of that thinking, and it is not a template. Good strategic solutions are not templates. Some are, and those aren't good. The really great ones are the ones that really are a synthesis of what you've been taking in, which is frankly a lot of conversations. And then what you're bringing back is something that's actually born out of a sort of creative approach to solving something.
Yeah, but you know what? All this is real. All this is real. And I think that is, but here is the thing that I think is going to eventually bite consulting.
That they're mostly full of shit?
No, there is that. But there is sort of like, you go to the airport and it is consulting firms plus AI, right, for the ads.
Right now,
right? And they are going to accelerate and they're going to make it more efficient and so on. I'm going to bet that as they're going in there and selling AI on top of all the consulting services, it's not coming in at 20% of the cost of all the previous engagements.
No.
Right. And that's actually what we're supposed to be doing right now. Like you and I are building it. We actually
No,
but you and I think our company, we believe that we can cut a ton off of what it costs to deploy software in an organization.
That's right.
We really do.
That's right.
AI and some good widgets and toolkits and all the good
Yes.
help. Like take all the knowledge of the last 20 years and add some AI gravy to it.
Yes.
And you have a Thanksgiving dinner at 1/5 the cost, right? So that's, maybe we're doing that. Maybe we're getting that together. Good for us. But I swear to God, I doubt very strongly that Deloitte is showing up and saying, I have great news. You're going to pay me
A lot less.
so much less money.
Our
going
revenue is
forward.
going down.
Yeah.
Great news for you.
Yeah. Booz Allen Hamilton is going to the government and going, thank God we did it for the taxpayers. AI is going to save us.
Yeah, and look, there's a disincentive to, I mean, because the inventory they sell is time. And if you're saying I have a tool now to reduce the amount of time I sell you, that's a strange thing for a Deloitte or a McKinsey to do.
If
right?
I was an ambitious and entrepreneurial consultant at a high level right now, I would get the hell out of there and start an AI-based consulting firm that will cost 10% as much as the old guys, and see how far you could get.
You want the golden piece of advice, Ford?
Go.
You want the golden piece of advice?
Golden.
Charge by deliverable. Because it's taking you a lot less time. I had a friend recently tell me, he goes, I have an idea. I think I'm going to start a consulting firm that's powered by AI. I'm like, what's your pitch? He's like, a third of the time at half the cost.
Yeah.
I make more money and you pay less money.
Yeah.
Because I'm using the tool. And I was like, oh, so you're not selling your time, you're selling the solution. He's like, absolutely. Why would I sell my time? It's less time. I don't have as much inventory. So it's a fascinating situation. I think humans have historically always, whenever we come up with something that promises efficiency, we find new complexities to pile on top of it.
We always fill the time. You ever watched your family pack for a trip?
Yeah, it's like
right. And somehow 5 minutes before you need to get to the airport, no one has socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been 2 weeks.
Exactly. So humans tend to fill it up. I think the disruptor won't come from within consulting. I think it'll come from elsewhere.
I think if people can skip consulting, that will be a shock to the system.
Or cut it down as much as possible, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a cool thing.
No, I do. The high-level management consultant is safe for a while because they can talk about wine with a guy in Iowa.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a big
right.
deal.
And he doesn't have anything else to talk about wine with, so he flies him in from New York and puts it on the board.
That's real.
And the board approves it, right? Yeah. So that's safe because I'll tell you what, ChatGPT can't do that.
Yeah.
But some of the other stuff, it's going to accelerate, and the discounts should show up.
Yeah, that's right.
The market is going to force them in there. So
Yeah.
I would actually be a little nervous if I was Accenture right now. I really would.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Interesting.
Because I think that like you're in a tough position. You got to sell this stuff, and you got to be there or in front of it because you're the leader. But if it doesn't, the benefit it's supposed to deliver is unbelievable acceleration and cost savings.
It's tricky.
You charge for humans. So like
You charge for humans.
how like threading that needle is a tough. How are you going to deliver so much more value and so much more acceleration and motivate your team and so on? Like it's hard. Like
It's hard.
Like it's a 2-week offsite just to figure out what's wrong.
It's hard, and we could have a whole podcast about where we think consulting is going to go.
We will. I
Because
bet.
of
I
this.
bet.
I think
'cause
we
this-
will.
It's our podcast. All
We're
right.
also
So
former consultants. We know what's up.
it never dies. Like we don't
Yeah,
do it
we
anymore.
we are with you.
Yeah.
Deloitte and
Yeah.
Accenture.
Yeah, we want to help.
We are brothers.
Yeah,
in this
we
struggle.
are siblings.
Yes.
Okay, so musicians, advertisers, teachers, therapists, consultants. I hope we were incredibly. I know so many of you listen to this podcast. I hope we were helpful.
Yeah.
So, Richard, check us out at aboard.com. Send us an email at hello@aboard.com.
Yep.
If you're feeling that your particular industry would like to know a little more about AI. And
love to talk.
Yeah, come on. We'll come on by. We're ready. We're ready to go anywhere in the 5 boroughs or even beyond.
Way beyond. Boroughs are parts of New York City
Yeah.
for those that live not in New York City.
I would
Paul.
even get on a plane. It would be
Yes.
pretty exciting. So that's it. Anything else we should tell the people?
No, I think we tell them to take care of themselves, and we'll see them next week.
Yeah, it sounds exactly right.
Have a lovely week.
Bye.
Reqless.